right, so today on the podcast, we have a very special guest. He is a multi-millionaire. He's been in sales for 5 years.
Yes, sir.
5 years has been in sales. Has had obviously a ton of success. Definitely somebody that people look up to in sales, just in the business in general. Also has a really good YouTube and Instagram page, so everybody should go check that out as well. We'll put that in the description. But without no further ado, Mr. Spencer Koze, how we doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you everyone for joining and watching. I'm hoping to provide immense value. God is great. If you want to follow me on Instagram, spencer.kozej. Please show love.
Straight to it, professional. All right, so first question is, all right, so you're a multimillionaire. How old are you?
25.
25 years old. All right, let's just kind of jump into like your background. Have you always been in sales, or like kind of give us a rundown of what brought Spencer Koze into sales? How did that start?
No, I have not always been in sales. I've only been in sales for 5 years. What brought me into sales was, well, a little background. I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and my family did not have a lot of money. And I learned from Andy Elliott that whatever you don't have as a kid, you crave as an adult.
Ooh.
So I didn't have a lot of money growing up. Our family didn't have the flexibility to go on a bunch of cool vacations. It was very, very rare that we'd ever go out to dinner as a family, just any dinner, not even like a steak dinner. I had one steak dinner my whole life until I was 18 years old. And yeah, we just didn't have a lot of money, but it is what it is. However, I had my cousin's family who did have a boatload of money, and I saw the way their family lived, the vacations they took, the lifestyle they had. And I always, just from a young age, wanted to make a ton of money. Mm-hmm. However, my grades were horrible. I was a big troublemaker, always getting in trouble, had a 1.8 GPA in high school, cumulative across the 4 years. So I wasn't able to get into a real college.
Okay.
Growing up in a small town where everybody's poor, they tell you that the only way to be successful, and in my town, successful was eventually make 100K by the time you're 40 or 50. They said the only way to do that is if you get good grades, go to school, go to college, get a good job out of college with good benefits and whatnot, and then work your way up the corporate ladder to eventually make 6 figures.
Interesting.
So that was my thought of how I was going to be successful. And then I didn't get into college because I had a 1.8, so I went to community college. As I was in community college, my cousin Mark Bernsdorf started selling life insurance his first year out of Pitt, and he made $118,000 his first year, close to $200,000 his second year, which was more money than anybody I knew. Mm-hmm. And he knew me. He knew I had bad grades, but he knew I wanted to make a lot of money, and he also knew I was a hard worker. So he was very aggressively recruiting me when he was making this money, telling me that if you work hard in life insurance sales, you can make a boatload of money. I interviewed with the company when I was 18, fresh out of high school. It sounded lit. This was Mark's first year. It sounded lit, but everyone told me it was too good to be true. I thought it was a scam myself, so I put it off for over 1.5 years. And then eventually I was so sick and tired of school that I was like, screw it. I'm just going to go work with my cousin Mark and start selling life insurance. And I even thought getting into it that there was no way he's selling life insurance. I thought he must have been selling drugs or something like that. But I was down either way because I hated school so much and I always wanted to make so much money. And when I was 20, I was super, again, immature, far from God. So I was like, if we're selling drugs, then that's cool with me. If that's what's making money, then I'm down to sell drugs. But it turned out to actually be life insurance sales, and I became a much better person since joining the company. So now I wouldn't sell drugs ever. But I was at a point in my life where I was so broke and desperate that I was down to do whatever it took. And that's how I got into sales.
All right. That's a good one. So you mentioned how like you were super broke and desperate whenever you're getting into sales. Do you think that, that desperation, do you think that helped you whenever you started? Do you feel like that hunger was necessary for you whenever you were new to sales and the business in general?
Yes, 100%. I think the best thing someone can do is come into the business with no money saved or very little money saved, okay, and have bills coming up where they're absolutely unwilling to accept any help for those bills.
Okay.
What I mean by that is my second month in sales, I had $0 saved up still. I probably spent the $800 I started with, and I had rent coming up, which I forget how much it was, but it was like $2,400. But my parents were not going to help me because they didn't even have the financial means to help me. Mm-hmm. But even if they could help me, I was not willing to accept any help from anybody. So my options were, I'm either going to figure out how to sell or I'm going to be homeless. And I didn't want to be homeless, which made me really kick into gear and figure out how hard I could really work. It forced me to really see my potential because my options were, I'm either going to figure this out or I'm going to be homeless. The second you have any bit of comfort, like, oh, at least I got 5K saved up, so if I don't hit the sales I need to this month, at least I can pay rent.
Right.
Or if I don't hit the sales I need to, my parents said they'll cover me for rent for 3 months. You're not going to work as hard as you could. You're never going to show yourself your true potential because you don't have to do it. But when you're in a position where you literally have to, or else you're homeless, then you're going to find out real quick what you're capable of. I always tell the people on my team, I'm like, hey, if you can get 24 presentations done a week, you will make 8 sales and you'll make about 4 to 5K a week. People always don't do it. And then I say, if I had a gun pointed at your mom's head and said, you have to make 24 presentations this week, guess what? They'd figure out a way to do it. They'd get more creative. They'd go to Walmart if they had to. They wouldn't sleep. They'd wake up earlier. They wouldn't take long lunch breaks. So it's never the fact that people can't do it. It's just the fact that they're not motivated enough to do it, which is why I think the best thing ever is being in a desperate situation because it pulls the best out of you.
Solid. Very solid. So for yourself, what did that look like then? Like that desperation, that desire to make a change, to change your situation. Like your situation was so desperate that you had to do whatever you could possibly do, obviously as long as like legal and ethical and moral. Well, I guess maybe not because it's about the drug dealer thing, but doing whatever you could possibly do in order to be able to change your situation. What did that look like? Like walk us through like a day by day, your first, let's say 2 months.
So my first 2 months, I have a picture of my schedule, but I was up early. I would hit the gym, read my Bible, say my prayers, and watch a motivational podcast all before 8 a.m. Why? Because the person that made millions in this company told me that's the best thing that you can do is pour into yourself before the workday. That's not something I always naturally did. I didn't even want to do it, but the person that was making all the money, they did it themselves. I could see him doing it every single day, and he told me he would suggest I do it. So no questions asked. I'm like, he's got the money. I'm just going to be coachable. So I did that. Right. And then from 8 a.m. till 9 p.m. minimum, Monday through Sunday, I was ripping dials. I didn't take lunch breaks. I didn't even have a choice because we were in office back then. So I didn't have a car. Mark would drive to the office and I'd be there from 8 a.m. till 9 p.m. My food was I'd have to either Uber Eat something to the office or walk to the gas station next door. And I did that Monday through Sunday for at least 2 months, probably more like 6 months. Didn't see...
The gas station was good.
Gas station was fire. Spent a bunch of money there, but no friends, no family, nothing besides sales, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for the first few months straight. And even after 9 p.m., if I wasn't where I needed to be, I still have proof. I have Instagram DMs where I'm like, I'm not going to sleep until I at least try everything possible to make a sale. So I would be DMing people from local locations. I'd look up on Instagram. I'd be like, hey, it looks like you have a kid. I sell life insurance. I need to make a sale. Looks like you could benefit from this product. Blasting that. Cold calling people out of the phone book, just pitching it. Asking my friends and family if they want a policy, basically just doing whatever it took to make money.
You would go up to people at like Walmart sometimes.
Walmart,
gas
stations.
Yeah, right. Doing whatever you possibly could just to be able to get in front of more people, because something that at least I always commonly tell my team, and something that I know you preach as well. Sorry, we almost got an accent. So something that you commonly preach, that I commonly preach too, is like, hey, sits are the most important thing for sales. Like the best sales advice is to be able to get in front of more people. So that was something that you identified immediately whenever you're brand new, and you just did a really good job at, because you had a pretty killer first year. You wrote, what was it? You did about like $360,000. Was that
something
correct?
like that? Yep.
Yeah. Crazy. So you basically hit the ground running, which was basically fully based on the fact that you had to have success, and you pretty much just put the pedal to the metal and didn't look back.
Yeah, I hit the
say?
ground running.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So when did you realize you wanted to start a team? Because for those that don't know, Spencer has a huge team. How many people would you say are on your team currently?
I don't even really know. Definitely over 100.
Yeah, definitely over 100. So what allowed for you to make that transition? Was that something you naturally knew you wanted to come in and do, or was that something that, like kind of, I guess, walk us through that, the beginning stages of you starting a team?
I would say I'm super competitive. One of my favorite things about this company is every single week they come out with the top income earners for the week, and they show it to you, they show it to everyone in the office and everyone in the whole agency meeting, and they announce it on a live meeting. So they always show the top 20 people. It's like, here's number 20, here's number 19, 18, all the way up to number 1. And what I noticed was everyone, for the most part, that was 1 through 5 was people that had big teams. So I didn't even, like, to me, it was just, I just want to be the number 1 income earner. And if the people making the most money for the majority of the time are people with big teams, I'm like, well, that means I need a big team if I want to beat these people in income. So that was really the first reason I actually got into it. Then after getting into it, I realized that it's a very fulfilling thing to do when you recruit people, change their life, teach them to make money, help them become better mentally, physically, spiritually. And in exchange for that, you get compensated very, very well. So it's an absolute no-brainer. But the original reason I wanted to was because I hated seeing people beat me on the income report. I always wanted to be number 1.
Okay, so you thought you originally got into starting a team because you wanted to make money.
Yep.
And then you realized the fulfillment that went along with it, and that's what kind of held you there, was like the fulfillment aspect, right?
And the money.
And
it's a win-win.
Yeah, right.
This is what I always tell people. I tell people I love to make a lot of money, and if you look at my Instagram, I need to make a lot of money. My bills are very high, but the best thing about what we do is I literally make $0 if my team makes $0.
Real quick, sorry, do you want to tell them what you drive real quick?
Well, currently, I've been through about 15 whips, but currently SVJ Roadster, F8 Ferrari drop top, and then a G-Wagon, but it's really a G-Wagon I got from my girlfriend, but I do drive it too.
Show them the wrist.
But what I was saying is, if my team makes $0, I make $0. If the people on my team make very low money, I make very low money. And I don't like making low money, and I can't make low money. I provide for my mom, my girlfriend, and my very expensive lifestyle. So if you look at my Instagram and it looks like I'm making a lot of money, all that is a reflection of people on our team making a boatload of money. And when you join our team, if you come in and make $0, I make $0. So you wasted my time, I wasted your time. But if you come in and make $1 million, I'm gonna make a bunch of money when you make $1 million, which is what I want. I wanna make a lot of money. That's why we're all in business. But it's also amazing that teaching someone else how to make $1 million is gonna make me a lot of money. So when people join our team, I'm like, trust me, I'm gonna do everything in my power to help you make as much money as possible. Why? Because it's gonna help you, and when it helps you, it helps me. So it's not like we're keeping secrets from people or anything like that. Like, I'm trying to tell people everything I know because I want to see them make millions, because that's gonna make me millions too, and them. It's a win-win, no-brainer.
Awesome. You want to touch on real quick the fulfillment aspect of it? That's obviously the money aspect of it. What is that? Besides, okay, so let's say, okay, the money and the fulfillment, like that's why I commonly say, like, why I enjoy leadership and why I enjoy being in business is I'm able to see other people's lives change, but also there's obviously that money that goes along with it. We were talking the other day about how success is me, but fulfillment is others, right? Like, what I've able to do is a reflection of, okay, success, I feel like, but what others are able to do, what you're able to empower others to do, is really what gives fulfillment. You want to quickly talk about that for yourself?
Fulfillment and purpose for me comes from saving souls. I feel like the best thing that ever happened to me was giving my life to God and getting into church. That's where I actually felt a big difference, because truthfully, I've made a bunch of money without being fully surrendered to God, and I still didn't feel quite happy or full of joy or at peace. But it wasn't until I was close to God that I realized, like, this is really what people need. Money's not going to make you happy. It is nice to have, but you can have a boatload of money and still go home at night and not be at peace, be worried, be angry, bitter. So what I realize is what people need and what's available to everyone, because money's not available to everyone. To make a lot of money, You need to be disciplined. You need to be willing to sacrifice. You have to want to make a lot of money. So thank God that's not the only way people can actually feel fulfilled and at peace, because if it was, then peace wouldn't be for everyone. But what I've realized is even if you don't make a lot of money, but you have a relationship with God, you can still be full of joy and at peace. So for me, the purpose is I use the money to recruit people into the business, but my number one goal is introduce them to God and let God speak to them and hopefully change their heart to fill them with peace and joy and all the great things that come with knowing God. And then whether you make money or not, it doesn't matter, because I still played a big part in changing your life, which is why I'm willing to invest whatever it takes to get people's attention. I'm willing to work hard all day, because I feel like God's purpose for us here on earth is to save souls and help lead people to him. So that's why I'm willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish that. And the good news is throughout that process, it also helps build the business and increase my income, which is also nice too.
I love that. Yeah, that's my biggest thing too, is expanding God's kingdom. So obviously success is nice and success is great, but I know what making money feels like. And making money is great, but it doesn't. I remember making over $50,000, like for my first month where I made over $50,000, I was like, okay, cool. I have more money in my bank account, but I didn't feel any different. The main time that I felt different is, main time I feel fulfilled is whenever I submit myself to God, and also whenever I'm able to introduce others to God and see their spiritual development as well. So there's a different type of fulfillment factor, I feel like, whenever you teach somebody how to make, let's say, $100,000 in a month versus seeing them, in church, like praising God and like living life like submitted to God. So yep. I 100% agree. Question for you. So for people listening at home, right? For people that are looking at you and wondering, okay, cool. So like they kind of see your story now and they understand like how you got into it and like what your first couple months looked like, your first year looked like, where you're at now. What would you say for you personally is like your number one why, like your number one motivator? Like, hey, like this is what keeps my engine going, like no matter what.
What keeps my engine going no matter what, I would say really is my purpose is to lead 10,000 people minimum as a starting point to give their life to God. So I'm not at 10,000 people, and that's what keeps me going. I'm going to get 10,000 people to meet God and to change their lives, because that's equivalent to a freaking massive church. And, I'm not a pastor, so how can I still make an impact for the kingdom? And it would be through business. I can lead 10,000 people to God by building this sales team, recruiting people, having people quit the sales team, but they still got closer to God throughout the process. So yeah, that's one of them. And then number two is just, I'm super competitive, and it might even be from insecurity or whatever, but I just want to make more money than anybody else that I know. Just, that's also true.
What was your hardest part of the business? What was the most difficult thing you had to go through in the business? And how did you respond to it?
Hardest part in the business. See, I think what I've learned is hard is a mindset. Mm-hmm. And if you think something's hard, or if you're expecting something to be hard, then it's going to be hard. So I refuse to say anything's hard. I would say maybe one of the things that took me the longest to grasp, making 10 million in a year, really. Like I haven't done it yet, and it's taken a while, but it's not hard. It's just taken a little while.
What season would you say was the least fruitful season despite the efforts being put into it?
It's that season.
I would say the hardest thing was leaving home and starting the career when everyone I knew was saying, don't do that, it's too good to be true. And realizing I had to give up my old life completely, what I did for fun, who I hung out with, for a whole new lifestyle. Like that was probably the hardest part for me. Mm-hmm. Just getting used to the boy has to die for the man to live, and I had to kill Spencer. Well, actually, my boys called me Coz in high school. I say Coz is dead.
Really? I've never heard that.
I'm Spencer now. Coz is dead. So the people that knew me in high school, they don't know me now. I'm not friends with them, don't want to be, because I can't relate. They related to Coz. Spencer doesn't relate to the way they think, what they do, none of that. So I don't have friends from high school, don't want friends from high school. I've got new friends that know the new me, which is Spencer, not Coz.
Wow. That's great. Okay. So the actual transition, jumping into the business, that leap of faith, that was, I guess, the most uncertain season, right? Because we don't want to say hard. It's the most uncertain
Yeah,
season.
that was the most hesitation I had.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Yeah, I would say for me, I was kind of wondering if you're, because I know obviously, you know, we're in the same business, right? So like, we do the same thing. Now, for me, I was kind of expecting you to touch on maybe parts of the business or times in the business where, like, maybe like the income was less than it was, like due to like bonuses or anything like that. But you're saying it's, hey, actually jumping into it and getting started, that was the season that had the least fruit, or yeah, least fruit based on the efforts.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. All right, sweet. And then for anyone that is listening to this and wondering, okay, there's money to be made, but maybe somebody's listening at home and they know there's money in this, they understand that, but they're kind of in their ways, like how I was whenever I started, because I wanted to go into like medical school. But so they're stuck in their ways, they're stuck in their routine, and they're not uncomfortable enough in their current routine to have a desire to actually make a change happen. What would you say to people at home listening? What would you recommend? What would you say to them? Like, hey, if you want to make that jump, you want to make that leap, like what advice would you give them to kind of ease their mind into making that leap?
To ease their mind, truthfully, I would say you should start listening to videos from David Goggins, Andrew Tate, Andy Frisella, and learn how a lot of these successful people think, and realize that most of these successful people were once in the same position as you, where they were uncomfortable in a position that they didn't like, needed to take a leap of faith, and they had to deal with what comes in that process, which is times of uncertainty, maybe times of you not having a lot of money, times of having to cut off old friends and family. So I would say just listen to them, and like that's really what did it for me. I would listen to Goggins all the time, just talking about you're just soft, you're being a loser, and I'd start having these conversations in my head like, yeah, I guess I am soft. Like, why am I scared to move out of my hometown and go live in Florida where I don't know anybody? That's just softness. Who cares? I got everything I need, me and God. So I would say, yeah, listen to people that have done it over and over and over, and seek advice from people that you would trade places with, and never, ever, ever take advice from someone you would not trade places with.
It's pretty crazy how you start listening to success stories and you could literally just name anybody that's successful. And there was a season where they were receiving absolutely no fruits from that labor whatsoever, and they were uncertain and they were going through it. And a lot of times whenever you look at those stories, the ones with the most success have the craziest stories. Like Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, having to bounce checks to people 8 years into starting Nike. Like Elon Musk, you know, sleeping on a bed whenever he was trying to launch space, or sleeping on the ground trying to launch SpaceX and whatever the heck, what is
Tesla.
it? Tesla, yeah, Tesla. Like that was like 2008. Now he's like the richest guy in the world. You know what I mean?
I didn't even know that was 2008.
Yeah, 2008 that happened. Yeah, Jeff Bezos. Look at like I feel like we've all seen the picture of him where he's like in a garage with like starting Amazon. It started off as a book company and he had a bunch of books in the background. You know, obviously you look what it is today. So that was like 1999. So 100%, I would agree. Like looking at people that are successful and recognizing that season's unavoidable to have success. Now I don't know about you, but whenever I was broke, I would look at people that have like we're in a Rolls Royce right now in the middle of like downtown Miami. You know what I mean? You obviously have crazy cars too. I would look at people like that were like in their 20s, and it was like a fantasy. It just didn't seem real. It was just like not unattainable, because if somebody else can do it, I can do it too. But like just no idea where to start, no idea like how the heck do I change where I'm currently driving around in a Nissan playing college baseball, like for my life to change to be in downtown Miami, you know, ripping around in a Lambo or a Rolls Royce. It just, like the middle part was so impossible to imagine. I didn't know how that would happen. So for you, what would you say to people? What's this guy doing? Some crazy traffic violations happening right now. Crazy. What would you say? What would you say for people that look at lifestyles like maybe like what we have, or people similar to us? What would you say to people like, hey, this is something that you can do too. Your life could literally look like this in a matter of a couple of years. How would you speak that reality into them, that their life can change like that too?
Well, For me, everything goes back to the Bible. If you're a believer in Christ, then you would realize it says in the Bible, number one, all things are possible through Christ who gives me strength. So you don't think you can get a freaking Ferrari or Rolls Royce? It's not even that hard. There's hundreds of them that drive around. If you partner up with God and keep him first, then all things are possible.
That's
so
good.
you already know it's possible, number one. Number two, in the Bible, it also says, whatever you ask for in prayer, if you believe, then you shall receive.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people don't have what they want because they're not even asking for it. They're not praying for it. There's another Bible verse that says you have not because you ask not. So you ever think the reason you don't have a Ferrari is because you haven't been asking God for a Ferrari? That's probably the reason. Or if you are asking, well, you got to look at the other verse that says, whatever you ask for in prayer, if you believe, then you shall receive. So you really got to believe it in your heart as well. And then the third thing is straight from the Bible as well. Write the vision and make it plain, for those that can see it will run to it. So if what you want is a Ferrari, you got to write it on a piece of paper, keep it in front of your face every single day, because when you look at it, you're going to run to it. You're going to start thinking of creative ways of what can I do to increase my chances of getting this Ferrari. You got to pray for it and ask for it, and you got to believe it's only a matter of time before it's yours. And you got to remember every single day that all things are possible through Christ who gives me strength. And I think if you keep those three Bible verses in mind, then it's really just a matter of time. Like it also says in Galatians 6:9, don't grow weary in doing good, for at the right time you will reap a harvest if you do not give up. So I think all the answers are already in the book. You just got to know what they say and believe in it and keep them in front of you. And then you can have whatever you want. It's only a matter of time.
Question on that to like follow up on that. I know my answer for this. This question or this topic kind of drives me nuts because it's so obvious, I think, but it doesn't seem like it for a lot of people. What would you say about the people, or maybe there's people listening to this that think this, they go, okay, that's cool. How can you say all these things about God whenever you have an SVJ and you have like a Rolls Royce and you have all this money? What do you think about that topic of following God and being a servant of God, but also being able to make a lot of money too?
Well, I would say in the Bible, it says Jesus came to give us life and life more abundantly. And all SVJ is you're spending a lot of money because you have an abundance of finances. It's just one stream of abundance in life. And the other thing is everybody's a sinner. Nobody's perfect. So if my sin is I flash a little bit and show off, the person that's condemning me for that and judging me for that's probably out there drinking alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. They're probably out there maybe committing adultery. I don't do that either. But everybody's a sinner. Nobody's perfect. So yeah, I'm not perfect. Maybe that's one thing I do that's not perfect, but it is what it is. I repent every morning. Jesus forgives me regardless. And anyone that's pointing out what's wrong with someone else needs to realize that they just need to point the finger back at themselves and start looking at what's wrong with me.
Do you want to know my take on it?
Yeah.
My take is, if you're doing something that is advancing, so first, I think it's all about stewardship. Like, first of all, you haven't mentioned on this podcast, but you tithe over 6 figures to the church, right?
Yeah, multiple
that's
six
correct
figures.
Stewardship of financial income is tithing multiple 6 figures to the church. So that alone, making a lot of money allows for you to have a greater impact. Money is an accelerator of processes. If you want to be able to be a very influential person, let's say spiritually, and you have no money, how the heck do you expect to go open up a bunch of churches and donate a bunch of money to churches? Like, money is what moves the world. So in order for you to be able to move other people, then you have to have finances to back. That's my first take on. My second take is, if you are correctly stewardshiping, or you have the correct stewarding of, let's say, like having an SVJ or having all these cars and stuff like that, that allows for a pedestal of you to be able to shout to others saying, hey, I know the correct path, follow me, because you have proven the progress of it. And therefore you're able to correctly lead other people to God as well, versus if you had like a Honda.
I agree 100%. It matters the motive of your heart. Like you've heard me say, and like anyone that can ask, what's my motive? To lead 10,000 people to God. Well, what's one way of getting people's attention? Having an SVJ. Because when you have an SVJ, everybody wants to know how you got it and how they can get it too. Mm-hmm. No one's going to ask you those types of questions if you drive a beat up Honda Accord. So how could I possibly lead 10,000 people to God if I'm driving a Honda Accord and no one wants to know what I do or wants any advice from me? It'd be impossible. So you do have to buy some flashy stuff sometimes to put yourself in the level of influence to where people actually look up to you for advice. and you can use that position of influence to lead them to God. Again, advancing the kingdom, which is my ultimate purpose, on top of making money and building a big team.
Yeah, and there's also multiple times in the Bible, specifically I feel like a lot in Proverbs too, where it talks about like God. I feel like God wants to bless you with finances. Like God obviously blesses you with other areas and riches in life as well. It's not just finances, but I think God does bless people with finances if they handle those finances correctly, as well, as you can see. So that's a hot topic question. I feel like that a lot of people wonder, and I think they just don't have enough spiritual maturity to understand that.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, Spencer, it was a pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall.
Appreciate you.
Timmy,
Appreciate
any questions for either me or Marshall?
Let me think. Who benches more?
Oh.
Marshall, but who squats more?
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
5 plates, easy.
Well, let's load it up. Let's do it.
I already did it. I don't
Yeah,
even have to load it up. It's already done. But Marshall benches more, I will
What
say.
body part is the most important?
Legs is the most important.
I think chest. I gotta pull up the squat videos. But hey, who's? I'm not gonna give you the squat, but I will give you. I don't know. It's flickering right now. But what I will give you for sure is who's in better who's like more cut, has more muscle mass. I'm giving that to Spence all day. I'll take that.
We got to.
All
Man,
day.
you look great, Marsh. You look
Yes,
great.
I appreciate
Truly.
you too, brother. You too.
We ain't gonna create any
Just-
competition.
Just got to shave the arms and he'll be good.
No, the man never shaves his arms. No.
What did Andy Elliott say?
Yeah, shave those legs.
Oh. All right. Well, hey, for anybody that's interested in joining the sales team, we have calls every single Monday night at 8 p.m. We're going to put the link for it in the description right here below on the video. Just click on that, click learn more, and you'll be able to hop on a call and we'll be able to give you all the information you need for joining the sales team. But that's everything we got for today.
Thank you. God is good.
God is great. Peace.